What is going on? That's what I want to know. Hope you're having a great day. My name is Sean Shapiro. It's 9 o'clock at night on the 25th of March, and I am very happy to be spending the evening with you. Yes, I am here for about an hour to answer your traffic and police questions. And I just realized I never pressed go on the TikTok. So let's do that. I'll hit go live. I'm going to say After Dark. Oh, I just realized the title was wrong before. Okay, anyway, I did a live yesterday and it said After Dark, and it wasn't After Dark. So there you go. Hit go live here. And now we're going to be live on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. We're going to be on YouTube in both vertical and horizontal, Kick. We're on Twitch. We're on X. We're everywhere that you are. And even if you're not there, we're still there because you might want to be there. And if you might want to be there, it's worth hanging out just in case you come by. What I talk about is important. Yes, I talk about the law surrounding driving in Ontario and elsewhere. I talk about stuff that matters to me and hopefully to you too. If it doesn't matter to you, scroll on by. But if you have questions about a ticket you got, a ticket you might be getting, if you got questions about the donuts cops eat, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for you. Liz, we got you. I see you there. Liz is coming in from the tube of you. Yes, YouTube this evening, and says hello, good evening. You know what? I am very happily streaming on multiple platforms. And if you would be so kind as to make sure you're following and sharing and liking on whatever platform you're on, it really just helps to make sure that more people see it. The more people see the stream, the higher the chances of interesting questions being brought forward to discuss. Because that's what it is. This is a great question. Nagpal has a question. Ooh, we're going to talk about this in 1 second because they're coming in through Instagram, and we're going to talk about that. Dave Mo says hey, and hey back at you on TikTok. Glam, hello there. Shauner9, hello, how you doing? Sly Canada, hello to you. We said there, we got Tony Pert. What's going on? Okay, and Glam 2025 says hi. Hi back. Okay, so let's get to the question on the talk of ticks. And that is, I'll put away the Liz, take your profile off the screen. Doesn't need to sit there all day. For anyone on TikTok going, what the heck are you talking about? On YouTube, and everyone else can see the questions pop up from the other platforms, but TikTok only sees nothing. It just sees me. So we're multi-streaming. Droner Wayne says, good evening. Good evening to you. We've got, Glam says, Sean should be in the movies as the voiceover, or just the, or should I actually be in the cinema? Oh, actually, you know what? Okay, I'm sorry. Too many windows here. Instagram sees the stuff on the screen. Cool. So let's go into the question that Nagpal had. He says, I got a ticket while turning left, entered an intersection on green, but turned on red due to traffic, got ticket. Let's back that up. You entered the intersection on the green, and then you got stuck inside the intersection. Is that what happened? Because you said, but turned on red due to traffic, got ticket. So if you turned and you got stuck in the intersection, you failed to clear the intersection. And that's where you're blocking the box, and that's a problem. If you entered on green and it turned red and you exited, you're fine. It's your obligation to exit. You didn't run. What ticket did you get? What was the charge for you? That's what I want to know. That's, again, Nagpal coming in from Instagram. Droner Win, we talked about you. And then Divmo has a question. Okay, we'll get to you in 1 second. We got, what do we have here? Mr. John Party says Sean could be a stunt double. Who a stunt double for who? Instagram. Yes, that's how I say it. I say lots of stuff weird just because I like to. Okay. Just looking for any clarification. And Mr. John Party says, if there was multiple cars in the intersection, well, again, the only time you can, Jackie Chan, right? He says I can be a stunt double for Jackie Chan because we look like twins. If you watch Twins with Danny DeVito and, Arnold Schwarzenegger, maybe. But anyway, the deal is that if you enter an intersection, you don't have where to go on the other side. You are in the wrong. If you get caught in the middle, you are responsible. Okay, let's talk about who has the right of way in a roundabout. Before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out to the magical people at Diamond and Diamond. They're one of our sponsors. They are Canada's largest. I thought about it and I said they're national, the largest Personal injury law firm. Just it was like stuck. It's on the tip of your tongue. You want to say it. They're Canada's largest personal injury law firm. We're very happy to have them as a sponsor. They help us keep the lights on. We appreciate them. They're not the only ones, but they're major players in our space of helping us do what we do. We also have the fine folks at I Finally Will, who are an online will company. If you don't have a will already, go to ifinallywill.com. If it's not taking your account startup right now, know that they're relaunching a new update, and by tomorrow, the next day, it should be 100% up and running. Then what else can I tell you about our sponsors? We also have the Accountant Institute. If you're an accountant or know one and think that they need some CPD, continuing development, professional development, they should go check out the accountantinstitute.ca because they do that kind of thing, and they're running a promo for $200 off. This is not an advertising thing, although it kind of is, because I really want to give credit to the people who help me keep the lights on because they are awesome. Okay. Mr. John Party says, I have the same glasses as him. Really? That's awesome. I love these glasses. I bought 2 pairs of them because I love them so much. Okay. Let's have a look here. Let's see which question. Okay. So Glam wants to know about the roundabouts and who has the right of roundabout way around the right of way in a roundabout. It's a tongue twister. But let's first hit Devemo's question of, is the charge for pulling over to the left shoulder instead of the right TS? I'm not picking up with the T/S. So the way it's written in the Highway Traffic Act is that when you are being pulled over or when you're pulling over for emergency services vehicles, if you are on a divided highway, you're to pull over to the nearest curb or edge of roadway. Well, if you're in the far left lane, the nearest curb or edge of roadway would be the left shoulder. So it's not against the law. It's not ideal for the police officer necessarily. It may not be the safest, and they may give you direction to go elsewhere, but it would be appropriate if you're in the left lane. Now, if it's an empty highway and you can get over safely to the right, it is far safer, far better for all involved to go to the right curb. But let's say you're in traffic and there's, bumper to bumper traffic, you go to the closest curb. So it's not a charge. It's not inappropriate. Glam's question of who has the right of way in a roundabout because they confuse her. The answer is the answer is the people in the roundabout. When you enter the roundabout, you have the right of way. Someone approaching the roundabout while you're in the roundabout, you have the right of way. They have to yield to you. That's why it's so important to signal your way out, your intention to leave the roundabout, because that's how we know what's going on. And the person who's about to enter can determine what they're doing. It's kind of awesome. I have a love-hate relationship with roundabouts. They kind of suck on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, depending on where you are. In the communities that I grew up in, there were no roundabouts. So those people just never really figured out what to do with them. And if you are, someone that just grew up with them, well, it's normal. Like Ottawa has them everywhere. And I imagine everyone in Ottawa knows how to use them, but Toronto people don't. Okay. See what Dashcam Vid says. Hey, Sean and Chatty saying hello to you. Friendly guy in the comments and all the videos we've been posting. And he's in our lives on a regular, creating great Dashcam content. You should go follow him. Tyler, what's going on? Deval Parmer, hello. Parmar, sorry, mispronunciation. Tyler wants to know what information do the ALPR cams pick up. That is the automatic license plate readers. Well, here's me not being trying to be, rude, but it picks up the license plate. It's a license plate reader. So a license plate reader does just that. It reads the license plate and it feeds that information to the computer record databases. And what that does is quite literally run your license plate. So it's no different than if a police officer hit the button and searched. The difference is that it cross references for known offenders, for known wanted parties, for people with suspended licenses and no insurance and that sort of stuff. And if it hits an alert, it goes chirp, chirp. And I have somewhere the audio file of what it sounds like. It's annoying. With us, it's very easy to be identified as something you should be paying attention to in a police car. But it just tells you that vehicle needs further investigation, and it has a picture of it, right? So it shows you what the car is, brings back the what we call tombstone information, which is name, address, date of birth, and immediate history of any person who's registered as the owner. So that's a thing. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer, says so on the screen. Must be true. I used to do this for the Toronto Police. And when I left the service just about a year and a half ago, I started a not for profit called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education because I wanted to continue giving you access to the information that I had as a police officer, the knowledge and stuff, the stuff and things. And I keep doing that even though I'm not paid by the service to do it anymore. And I've been talking about left turns on red lights. People get confused, not realizing that that's legal if you're on a one way turning onto another one way. That video on not TikTok. TikTok's I don't know, it's somewhere 10,000 whatever so ish views. Can you believe that video is over 800,000 views on Instagram? It's crazy. People are thoroughly shocked that that is legal, and that's shocking because that's something you should know as a driver, and most people don't. We got Alan. How you doing? Zero Fighter X joined. Thank you for joining the chat. The Mac 33 is here. And then Magic Matthews. What's going on? Screw Attack says, why do people think roundabouts are so difficult? Because they're foreign. If you landed on a new planet and only knew what you knew, anything different would throw you off. Now, it's also not just knowing or not knowing, it's also not caring. Everyone's in a hurry and not paying attention on a good day. So they tend to play chicken with you. They just go. And I'm the biggest, baddest chicken player there is. So I will not, I have to make a point that I will not let someone who's trying to fail to yield. I mean, I won't cause a collision, but I'm pretty serious about it. Okay. Let's see here. We've got Richard Diamond. Howdy. Tint Factory joined. What's going on, Tint Factory? Please don't put any illegal tints on the vehicles you're working on. I have such a big problem with tints that are not legal. Anyway, at the moment, no one's charging tint installers, but I think there's going to come a time. Alaska wrote to me, the government in Alaska, representatives wrote to me and wanted to know about legislation suggestions for making tint installers responsible for installing illegal tint. Now, they did it because we've been talking about it. And Canadian legislators, police, lawmakers, and police are involved in the lawmaking process. They consult. We should be going after two people that are definitely not responsible for anything right now. We should go after the tint installers for putting illegal tints and rendering a vehicle unsafe. You do it, you should hold some responsibility. Now, that's one. And then two, the folks who are selling e-bikes and electric motorcycles, we'll call it e-bikes, electric motorcycles and electric cars, and they're lying and misrepresenting, saying that they are e-bikes and mobility scooters. I'm sorry, a four-seater car is not a mobility scooter. It's a car, and they're trying to pass it off and successfully pulling the wool over many people's eyes, saying it's a car. And then people buy it and drive it down the street without insurance, without a license, and then get completely screwed when they get pulled over by police and charged. Yeah. Let's see here. Melody says we have some roundabouts. They have made a massive difference in MVC events, motor vehicle collision events. In theory, a roundabout is phenomenal for slowing people down and avoiding collisions. But when they're deployed where there's a loss of visibility, they put trees in the middle to make it very decorative, potentially, and the person just hammers down, doesn't see the car coming around, or chooses to ignore and assume that person's about to leave. Bad things can happen. Canine Pusher 326 says we just call it horsepower. What do we call? I don't know what we call horsepower because it's out of context. Glam 2025 wants to know how we cut down on auto theft. I've been talking about auto theft for a long time. So it's not. There's a number of issues. One, we need to put bad guys in jail and keep them there like forever. But that's another story. They need to be rehabilitated so that they never want to steal cars again. And if they get out and still steal cars, then we keep them forever. I don't know. Part of what we can do is change our behavior to make it harder to steal our vehicles. Now we know that, and I was just talking to an old friend. I was at their home talking about other stuff, and we happened to get on the topic of the fact that they had two attempts on stealing their vehicle, and I think the third time they got the vehicle, even though they had a club installed. They got the vehicle. Why? Well, they showed me pictures because they recovered the vehicle, but they showed me pictures of the cut steering wheel. They just took the club out by cutting the steering wheel. Buy a new steering wheel. They took the whole car. Cheapest thing to replace, I guess, is the steering wheel. In any case, You make deterrents. You make it harder to steal, and then you hope that they pick your neighbor's house instead of you. But the problem is that a thief that wants in is likely going to get in, whether it's in your home or in your vehicle. You just got to make it as tough a fight as you can, which is why if I duck down here, you'll see a logo above my head that says ClearGuard. ClearGuard is a company I work with. I love what they do. They put quality security film on your windows. It makes it harder for bad guys to get on the inside. That's right. Keeping the bad guys on the outside is the goal. I have gone to town. I am over 300 pounds, and I took a sledgehammer, crowbar, baseball bat. I have some entry tools. I use claw hammer, axe hammer. I beat the crap out of windows. And if it keeps me out and makes me tired, it's doing a good job, I got to say. So they do good stuff. Clearguard.ca if you want information from those magical folks who also sponsor the show. Okay. Okay. Oh, I see. Nagpal says, we were talking about Nagpal, who asked a question about getting a ticket while he was in the intersection. And he says he believes he entered on, officer believes he entered on the amber, but that's not the situation. So you entered on the green and got stuck. So sadly, you're going to have to go to court and make your case. Mr. John Party wants to know if Nagpal has a dash cam, because that's one of those things that would capture the event. The problem is, not only do you need a dash camera, but you have to have the wherewithal to hit manual record or stop it afterwards so it doesn't loop and record, and then save the data for your defense. So it's great to have a dash camera, but if you don't create a workflow to capture and store and protect the data that has relevant information to the vehicle stop you're on or the collision you're involved in, then it's just a decoration on your window. So that's a thing. Abbotsford emergency videos. Join. Welcome, welcome. Grouchy Medic. Uh, oh. Grouchy Medic wants to know how I get small headwear, specifically a yarmulke, to stay on my head. So if you go to a synagogue, if you're going to a place of worship that happens to be Jewish, you would be wearing a yarmulke, which is the small little head covering or beanie, or however you want to refer to it. But it's a sign of respect, and and people with no hair like me. Well, how do you get them to stay? Well, I've had very good luck with a very short amount of hair that is kind of just friction locks. It's not quite suction cup. It's not, but it does stay where it's put. I have, however, seen two-sided tape available for the shiny-headed people like myself. Okay, we've got conversation. There we go. Okay, just scrolling through, trying to catch up to something. 4 kids in a Porsche. Welcome back. Good to see you. So this is in reference to me saying that people who are buying motorcycles that are being sold as e-bikes that don't qualify, and tint stores or tint installers for putting illegal tint on cars. He says it's the same as charging a car manufacturer for someone who speeds. It's a step too far. I disagree. And here's the reason why. A vehicle manufacturer sells something that's legal. How you use it is up to you. You have the ability to use it. And I appreciate that I just said something that I see the parallel. Tint, it's plastic film, and they can sell that plastic film, and it's legal for them to sell it. But when they put it on the car and they render that car through their action illegal for the road, unsafe, putting people at risk, they are doing something knowing that it's illegal, and that's going to roll out of the parking lot knowing that it's illegal. So while I was convincing myself that you may be right, I convinced myself that you are not. And that's because they knowingly are letting a vehicle leave their property after they rendered it illegal, unsafe. They're party to the act of making roads unsafe. And that's where I think they bear responsibility. They want to steal you the film. You lie and tell them you're putting it on your front windows at your home because you want to reduce the solar load in your home and reduce your electrical fee or heating fees. Power to them. Sell them the film. But if they're going to actively put it on a vehicle knowing it's illegal to do so, they're party to the offense. And never mind offense. They're making roads unsafe. They are not nice. They're not cool. I'm looking, just trying to make sure. I think I have it done right. I'm in front of the logo. The Diamond and Diamond is playing tricks on me, the one beside my head, because it looked like it was like not, it was in the foreground, the background, but it's actually in the right place. So sorry. Saw a squirrel. Okay. If you're watching, you don't already follow me, please do. If you are capable of tapping a screen on TikTok, please do that. Helps bring more people to the party. 114 people in the room. Are they? No, 15 people in the room. 114 people have come through the room. But if you tap and share the live with others, you'll bring more people in and they'll bring some unique conversation. Okay. Nick says, can security guards physically restrain you until police come for trespassing? So, can they arrest you for trespassing? The fact is, they can trespass you from the property. They can arrest, and they have authority under the Trespass to Property Act. So, can they arrest you for trespassing, waiting for a police officer to attend, so they can deliver them forthwith to said police officer? Yeah, I think they can. And I say I think because I'm thinking back to the last time I was involved in the trespass to property thing. As a special constable, when I was way back, I trespassed people, and very often they were, it's something we would just take their name. But if we wanted them charged, we didn't write tickets ourselves, so we called police, and we would hold them. Yeah, but do you want to? Do you want to hold somebody? Like, what is the trespass purpose? Tell them to leave. Take a picture and tell them they can't come back, and then notify. Like, I wouldn't necessarily put hands on someone just for a trespass. It depends. Everything situation is different. And I want to I want to say that if you're a security guard and you're acting on behalf of the property, whether you can or can't, check with your company's policies and training to make sure you're not going to end up getting sued. Because if you do something that they don't want done, or that you violate rights beyond that of what you are you're going to get covered for, you are going to be in a world of hurt. And when in doubt, call police, because they're the ones who should be coming to deal with most of these things. Now, I just don't want to give you a definitive answer and give you the ammunition to be in trouble. But I will do a quick check on something, because now I'm doubting myself. Yes, I am. It happens on occasion when dealing with topics I don't often discuss. Let's see. Because generally speaking, when you do a citizen's arrest, and that's what security guards do, you need it's going to be a indictable offense, or a dual or we call it one that could be either summary or indictable based on the way or hybrid offense, we call it, based on the way the Crown wants to proceed. Let's see here. Okay. Let me do a little search thing here. I just want to make sure before I send you away with answers that get you in trouble. Glam wants to know if I ever did any undercover work. I did plain clothes. I didn't do undercover. No, never did undercover. Like that, you're talking about like deep cover. No, not me. 6'5", 300 plus pounds. I look like this. People recognize me from 300 feet away. Let's see here. Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. So if you refuse to leave after being directed, yeah, they can be arrested under the TPA and delivered forthwith. And reasonable force must be used. Person turned over. Yeah, okay. So I wasn't far off. Okay. Question from Mr. Rust. Oh, Mr. Rusty Ryu. How loud can a car or muffler be? Can't stand cars that sound like motorcycles. Ugh, I can't stand some motorcycles that sound like motorcycles. If you don't have if you've modified your can, if you've taken it off and it's a straight pipe, or it has a hole in it, or it's being replaced with something that's not meant for the road, a couple of things: improper muffler charges, two, unnecessary noise. Two sets of charges, two different things. You can get both of them. The thing that you really must understand is unnecessary noise is independent of muffler. So if it's an improper muffler or no muffler that's making noise, charge. If it's just noisy, it could be because of defect, it could be because of modification, it could be because of driving. Because people always say, well, I've got a Lamborghini, it's 12 cylinders, and when I done step on that gas, it's noisy. You're going to give me a ticket for a stock Lambo? And the answer is maybe, because your stock Lambo is making unnecessary noise because you're redlining it in Toronto. If you were driving it like a normal human being, it probably wouldn't make unnecessary noise because redlining it at 40K is just bravado. And you get the ticket for them there thing. So let's move on with that. I don't know why I went into that accent. Let me see. Andre and Chase want to know, do you see tickets from other jurisdictions like tickets issued to Ontario drivers? So couple of things. In Toronto, we would see everything in Toronto. OPP would see everything within their system. But here's the thing. When you run somebody on a system like Niche, Niche is one of the dispatch systems. I think that's what Toronto just moved to. And you see everything that other agencies that use the similar system use. So you can see that York did the same thing, Toronto did the same thing if they're on the same system. You may have to type in your badge and make a request for access, but you're pulling them over. You want to know why they're being pulled over. And you get to have a peek. We share information. So yes, you see other things from elsewhere in Toronto. If that's before charges away, that's just they were stopped 3 hours ago. Why were they stopped? Oh, they were stopped for the same reason I'm stopping them. That kind of thing. Intelligence. If you're talking about, can you see charges? If you can see convictions, different database, different reasons. So convictions, you're looking at the MTO, and yes, you can see that from anywhere. Generally speaking. Sometimes you can even see things from other countries. We've got Cute or Cutie who says hi. I guess that's cute, not cutie. There's no I in cute. Okay, Seawood Dashcam says drivers need to remember to signal their intended direction they are going to exit for. That is related to roundabouts. Okay. Cute has a question, and that's how this works. You ask the questions. You've asked one. No, actually, you didn't ask one. You just said hi, and I have a question. Ask your question. That's how this works. And if you're going to ask a question, please put the letter Q before it, so I know it's a question as opposed to to dialogue amongst yourselves. Tint Factory. After I mentioned that there's a move to try and make tint installers responsible for making tints, or applying illegal tints to cars, his response or their response is, bruh. I don't think they like the idea. And I get it because most people want illegal tints installed. Like I would say that 80% of their business, if not more, is people saying, give me limo tint on all windows. And, then that's a problem because that's their bulk of their business. Glam says vehicles ate so noisy in my neighborhood. Isn't there noise? I think it's R. Makes way more sense if I change the T to an R. Vehicles are so noisy in my neighborhood. Now I get the question. Yes, it's a big problem. It is a big problem. And people don't respect the fact that people live there. People work there. Babies sleep there. People need to enjoy their community, and loud pipes are just annoying. I made annoying and noisy into annoying. I don't know why I did that. Okay. Mr. John Party says, dry ice, burn the lock on the club. Neighbor got that. Locks keep honest people out. 100%. That's the deal. People have a false sense of security in the average home. That's why I talk about home fortification with ClearGuard, both windows and lock systems, because there's so much you can do by upgrading bolts and using longer screws. You can do cheap stuff to make your house harder to break into. But Mr. John Party is absolutely correct in that locks keep honest people out. And it's sad that we have to talk about theft and home invasion so frequently in our community. Do you know that in the last, just over 60 days, 90 days? Oh, come on. Stats left my head. I think 60 days was like 500 break-ins in the GTA. 500. Oh, we got Brandon who says, hello, Sean and all. Sorry I'm late, being busy at Disney. I do not feel sympathy for you because you're at the most magical place on earth. He says, for everyone at Epcot, my 2019 Corvette ZR1 is on display in test track. Come on. Really? That's too cool. Okay. I don't know if you're new to the channel and you've not jumped in my lives before. Brandon has a stellar awesomeness collection of cool rides, and one of them is now on display at Disney. I want to go to Disney. I'm actually going to be I'm not going to be in the Disney area. I'm going to be closer than I am now, but not close enough to visit your car. What we have here? Travis Wood wants to know about having your high beams on at nighttime when you're driving down a road. Can you have your high beams on at nighttime when you're driving down? That's the whole reason you have high beams. As long as you are not within 70 meters approaching another vehicle and not within 150 meters oncoming. I always screw this up. Let's have a quick look to verify if I am, in fact, remembering that correctly. Because even though I'm usually correct, when I say it, it sounds wrong. And then I say, I'm going to look it up. And then I do. And then I'm right. And I go, I'm right. I don't know why I always question myself, but I do this every single time. So fail to use low beam. Um, beam. Fail to use lower beam. It is approaching an oncoming vehicle within 150 meters. I got that one right. 60 meters, not 70 meters. Dang it all. I got it wrong. I think normally I say 7. Maybe I don't know. I don't know anymore. For some reason, that one charge, I just never freaking remember. The numbers, 60, 70, whatever. It's irrelevant because I've never laid the charge for following somebody with high beams. I just never have. High beams oncoming, 150 meters. Remember. Nick wants to know if a radar detector is a real thing. No, you mean a radar detector, not a radar detector. It's a radar detector. It is a real thing. The truth is that radar detectors less valuable now than they once were for people trying to use them. Now, don't get me wrong. I hate radar detectors. I don't want anything that will reduce the chances of you getting caught for speeding. Because the goal of stopping you and charging you for speeding is not to temporarily slow you down because we're watching. It's to stop you and slow you down and give you the ticket so you change your behavior and then you maybe save a life by not continuing to speed for the rest of your trip or your life or whatever. So yeah, it's about changing behavior by giving you the ticket so it stings and then you change your behavior going forward. So anything that interferes, jammers, laser or detectors, radar detectors, bad. But let's go back. Radar is not something we use very often. It's only used in a select number of vehicles in our fleet because it's a moving radar specialized device. And now laser speed measurement is the primary way of measuring speed. Okay. What do we got this? What about, oh, hang on a second. Oh, did I miss a few things? I think I might have. We got it. And Andre and Chase says, thanks for the content. You're most welcome. Oh, geez. Okay, hang on a second. Let's go back. Oh, wow. A whole bunch of stuff flewed in. Okay, let me see here. We talked about that. We talked about this. By the way, while I'm scrolling through some stuff I already read, looking for new questions that I may have missed. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer, talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you've got questions, if you want to just talk about stuff, if you want to know what the favorite movie of most police officers is, well, we can talk about that. I don't actually know the answers. We have to speculate, but I'm willing to talk. Willing to have that conversation. I'm here until about 10 o'clock, which is about 25 more minutes. And if you are watching and you are interested to know, oh, we have somebody who really identifies as a barnyard animal. Oh, I'm proud of them. It's good to know what they are. I love people who think we're offended by people who say pig. But today's a new day, and you're allowed to identify as such. And you're loud and proud, brother. You oink oink all the way. You do your thing. I wonder if he rolls around in the mud too. Okay, going on. I don't know. I just like making fun of people who think they're funny trolls. And I know you're not supposed to acknowledge trolls, but it's kind of funny to make fun of the dum-dums. Okay. What about chips in cars? How do you know? What kind of chips? Potato chips? Sour cream and onion? Salt. I like salt and vinegar. Ketchup. Big fan of ketchup. You mean to say chips that modify the tune of the engine? They're not illegal. You're allowed to chip a car. I imagine some programs might change your emission settings and might violate other rules, but I wouldn't know how that would work. Not my problem. It's really not. Like if you're suddenly like backfiring and stuff, that could be a tune. That could be all sorts of things, and it might be a different charge. Seawood Dashcams wants to know if ClearGuard is owned by Mario. He owns a protection film for Windows. He says he's 220 pounds and can't break it. Mario's a friend, but that is not Mario's company. I don't know what his company. I don't even know if he says what his company is. Does he? I know he did some promo for it, and he's out in Burlington area. I think I don't know where they work, but not the same company. Lord Ozymandias says, all right, I've always wanted to ask this question to a police officer. It may be stupid. Are you ready? I'm ready. But I don't see your question. So if it was so bad, it might have been flagged by the AI filters on TikTok. I'll come back to you in a second, though. Travis Wood had a question. We already answered it. And then so Travis Wood asked about, can you have your high beams on at night? And then he says, because I got a ticket yesterday for having my high beams on last night. But it depends on how close you are to the person in front of you. And then followed up another question saying, am I allowed to have red or blue underglows on my car? Depends. You can't have red or blue, or you can't have red or blue to the front of your vehicle. So if it's visible to the front, if the bulb is showing to the front, that's not allowed. And then if you have anything other than amber or red to the rear, that's not allowed. Generally speaking, if you're just making the ground beneath your vehicle glow, that's not really a big deal. Some officers do think it's a big deal, so you might have to argue in court why it's not a big deal. The law says you can't project those colors in directions front, like certain colors in certain directions. But the way I see it is if you are projecting directly down and it is reflecting off the ground, you are not projecting in any direction other than to the ground. The ground wants to reflect it. That's the ground's problem. That's how I see it. You can argue that in court, though. Is it better just not to have it? Sure. Use it for private property. Way less aggravation not talking to cops about why you have lights on different things. Brandon saying that it's on loan to Chevrolet and Disney to showcase the evolution of the Corvette. Freaking awesome, dude. That's really cool. What do we got here? Do me a favor for everyone. I don't know if Melody blocked him yet, but Melody had a great idea in response to all the piggy stuff that user 2361149388184 posted. Please post your favorite barnyard animal to stand in solidarity with the guy who thinks he's a pig. I just think that's funny. Travis Wood says, I have them under my rear tire and front tire. Under your tires, lights, not a big deal. Not flashing, I would say, that's a big thing. Red and blue, generally a bad idea, though, because it's police, and you could have someone say it's police colors. It's not projecting outward. It's just reflecting or illuminating behind your wheel. I would not lay that charge. Personally, me, wouldn't do it. But you never know what you're going to get. And you might find someone who says it's illegal, and then you're going to waste a day's pay to go to court, whether it's legal or not. Because remember, it's an allegation, right? When you get a ticket, it's a police officer saying, I am alleging that they are breaking the law. The officer then goes and testifies as to their perspective, their reason for laying the charge, and you get your opportunity to say, Your Worship, that's not what happened. This is what happened. But it's a waste of time. Just don't give them anything to get you on. What is this? Andre and Chase says, I got a manual to help cut back on theft. Okay. Yes, I think Seaway Dashcam has a good solution for something. What do we got here? Is it better to put an automatic pipe that goes up and down? Those are illegal. You cannot put an automatic a diverter that will let you to bypass the exhaust. I mean, it might keep people out of your business. And you look at like Corvettes and Mustangs that have like a volume control essentially on their exhaust systems. Their factory, I think they get away with it differently. But if you actually put a bypass, you're looking for big trouble. Okay, let's jump back into Instagram. Hang on. Dry ice. We talked about that. Got a ticket for loud exhaust, even though my car comes with stock exhaust. I'm so confused. That's from Travis Wood Gaming. Behavior. We talked about it. I don't know if you caught me discussing it. If you're revving your engine, if your vehicle is just obnoxious. Like my dad bought a Mustang, secondhand Mustang. He thought it was stock. It was stupid loud. He says, "Oh yeah, there's a button somewhere. He did it to make it louder." I'm like, "This doesn't sound right." Well, when he went to sell the vehicle, it was a straight pipe car and he went back to the person who sold to him, who happened to be a mechanic, and the mechanic said, "Well, people like it like that, so we did it." Break the law. I think that those mechanics might be a party to an offense. but who knows? What can I say? Certainly selling it and certifying it that way, which is not certifiable, that's an offense. Sunny Rayo says, what if I forgot my wallet at my home and I don't have my driver's license? Let's try it again. Sunny Rayo said, what if I forget my wallet at my home and I don't have my driver's license with me when pulled over? The answer is you could get a ticket for $110 for failing to surrender your license upon demand of a police officer. That's the thing. You're responsible. There's no excuse. You might get a day where the copper says, I get it. Life happens. And get a warning. You might get a ticket. Either way, you broke the law. We got Insure with Deshant. What's going on? He says, hey, Sean. Hey. That's good to see you. What do you got here? Brian P. Costa says, I had a Vespa LX50, $7 of gas a week with $12 insurance per month. Those were the days. Two wheels is awesome. And Vespa's 50cc, I'm assuming. What a deal. I don't know if a 50cc would go uphill with me on it, though. All right, let me come back to we just did Instagram. We're going to look at the fine folks on YouTube. Scrolling there. Interesting. As a chef, Brandon says his favorite barnyard animals are cows to make beef Wellington, chicken for chicken wings, and pigs for sausages and bacon. You can't argue with that. What is this? Oh, we're back to questions about television. Other than the fantastic show called Third Watch, which I'm a big fan of, do you have any recommendations for shows about law enforcement and first responders? So I do. I am a big fan of The Rookie, which is about John Nolan, played by a Canadian, who was what was he? It was a construction guy, a contractor. And he gets divorced and he decides to move to Los Angeles and follow his dream of becoming a police officer at, I think, 40. Maybe he was older. I don't remember when he started the show. Anyway, he was the oldest guy on the shift, and it was his story from his perspective. I think it's a great show. It's not at all realistic. Love it to death, but you clearly see that they're using like GoPros for in-car dash cameras, and they do some stuff that's not at all policey anywhere, but it's entertaining, and that's what counts. So if you're looking for a police procedural that is at all realistic, that's not it. Blue Bloods, love Blue Bloods. No longer on the air, although they do have Chicago Blue, I think is the new spinoff. Season 1's already completed, which I love. I love Tom Selleck. Awesome. Is Blue Bloods. Many seasons, I think 14 seasons. And then you have Chicago Blue with one season, which is not anywhere near as good as Blue Bloods, but if you can take the realism out and just kind of enjoy the show, I find it entertaining. I also am the guy who watches shows and says, that's not policy, that's not procedure, that's not legal. That's because that's can't just enjoy. And Travis Woods, just to finish off the YouTube style of things, wants to know if you can buy a cop car from a police auction with the lights and sirens, because I got a Crown Vic from a police auction. You're not supposed to have the stuff. They're not supposed to leave it in. Very often you get it by accident, but you're not supposed to. And you can't have a siren installed in a car legally. Whether you activate it or not, having a siren unit in a car is a problem. But if you never use it, no one's going to know. But that's another story. The lights, if you change them to amber, not a big deal. That's usually what they do before they sell them. Oh, I didn't know that Melissa O'Neill, who plays Lucy Chan on The Rookie, is also Canadian. Had no idea. But she's also a cool character. Okay. Main B. Jonathan says, internet trolls are probably the ones doing the traffic crimes. I like it. Melody says, defeating an emission system is illegal. Cool. I think that's in Cyrillic alphabet, and I don't know what the fonts are. I can't see what they're putting down. This is about, I don't see the original question, but it's something about 3D printing parts. Got a ticket for no front plate, but my mounts are on back order. So is that an exception? Your vehicle shouldn't be on the road without front plate. There's no exemption. Not in Ontario, not anywhere I know. If you are on the road, you're responsible to mount the plate. Zip ties are a great impromptu mounting system. two-sided tape, magnets, whatever you got to do, but it's got to be on display. Can't be the front windshield. Just can't. Just can't. Oh, and funny, Melody said exactly what I said. Zip tie it to the grill, waiting for the mail, and that's what the cop apparently said at the side of the road. Oh, Melody says I haven't blocked him yet. Talking about the barnyard animal. He'll get tired. Let's see here. Mac Cats 4 says I saw someone with a dog crate in the back of pickup. Is that legal? If the crate was secured properly, then absolutely, it would be legal. We suggest crating the animal, the dog, the cat, the muskrat, whatever you're driving around with, in the crate, in the back seat, and the crate should be secured to the vehicle. Outside isn't a problem either, but the dog can't be running around in the bed. That's not okay. And inside the vehicle, dog should be tethered or crated. One place a dog or cat or muskrat should not be is in your lap while you are driving. Not on your shoulder, not over sitting on your head. Like if you had a macaw and it was sitting on your head, that's a problem. It's distracting. X says 7 days till a cop have to file any ticket in this computer. You're asking what the time frame till it goes? I think 7 days was our goal. I think it was actually longer, but I think we had a policy of 7 days. Been a while since I've had to file a ticket manually. And the reason is because the moment I finish and process that ticket and print it, it was transferred by way of the internet wirelessly, instantly sent to the computer system. So all the new fandangled computer systems, once you hit send and you've completed your evidence, it's gone, it's done, it's surfed, it's like in the system. It's 20 minutes. Like never mind 7 days. What is this? Gary, I'll come back to your question about alcohol and marijuana. I want to see here. Like Sassy says, I hear there's a scam ongoing with auto insurance. Can you tell me more? I don't know what scam. There's scams on everything. I can tell you a scam that my friend was a victim of. He had a company, and an insurance broker told him that he was selling him insurance and gave him a pink slip and everything and took his money. But guess what? There was no policy ever registered. He was just producing fake slips. So when they eventually got into a collision and provided that, they later found out that the slip was bogus, and it was a big problem because they had no insurance. 4 kids in a Porsche says, in the U.S., during a traffic stop, an officer can order you out of the car for officer safety. What can a Canadian officer order me to do in the name of officer safety? Out of the car, pat me down, other? There's different reasons, right? So if you are going to pull you over, you're going to make a demand for roadside, for your license ownership and insurance, they have to provide that. They can make a demand for a buccal swab, for doing a test for marijuana. They can make a demand for a ASD, which is a approved screening device. They can make a demand for what's the other one? For a roadside sobriety test. You have to get out of the car and produce that. I've never ordered somebody out of the car for any other reason. Now, if I was going to, if I saw something in the car that I needed to separate that person from, I could detain them. I could have them out of the car. I could put them in the back of my car. So yeah, you can have them out for reasons, but you start upping the game. But no, just like step out of the car. I've never done it. I've never needed to do that. It just wasn't a thing. If I was arresting somebody, I arrested somebody. I could release them afterwards, but I didn't just say step out of the car. But in the States, they absolutely have that right. And I don't know how the equivalent works here because I've never explored it. It sounds funny that I'm even talking about it, but it's a very American thing, I think. Now I have to do a bunch of research to figure out what the equivalents are because you've opened up a rabbit hole that I must go through. I'm just curious. Just curious. Google sucks. That's the name of this user who says human behavior expert Chase Hughes in a recent podcast discussed how the CIA recruits social media influencers with bribes, coercion, and blackmail to have them push or avoid certain talking points. I've never been paid for anything. No, I'd love to get paid to tell people to be safe on the road. In a roundabout way, the support of the not-for-profit I created does get support, but not to coerce me into saying anything in particular. And the CIA has never paid me anything, just saying. Okay. Blue Blood spinoff is a Boston Blue, not Chicago Blue. Thank you, Aragon, who corrected me appropriately. I don't know why I kept on calling it Chicago Blue because there's a different show called Chicago, but Boston Blue. Thank you very much. It's a very, but thank you. Do you like the show or do you just happen to know everything about TV? Uh, Thanks for the follow. I don't see who followed. Who followed? Oh, Noggins followed. Thank you for the follow. I saw the little, hear a little chirp on TikTok. All right, let's see here. Okay. Is it Bravia? What is you? So I don't know what language your username is in, but he says, what is this? Oh, I guess you're answering Gary's question about is alcohol if is alcohol has a limit, what is it for marijuana? So for people who have a condition to have zero drugs or alcohol, marijuana would be zero. You can't have anything in your system if you're operating your vehicle. But whereas alcohol is also zero if you have a condition that says zero. And when they do vehicle swabs, it's to confirm that you have more than zero. It actually tests for cocaine and marijuana, and alcohol is a breath test. Now, if we're talking about how much can you have before you're charged for impaired operation, well, alcohol in Ontario is not. There's a legal limit in there for provincial, and there's a criminal legal limit for criminal. But it's different for cannabis. Let's dip into that. 0.05. So 0.049 means you blow, if you have less than 0.05, you would be legally permitted to operate your vehicle in terms of simply the amount of blood alcohol content. If you have 0.05 to 0.079, you are not permitted to operate your vehicle legally. You can't even supervise someone with a G1. At that point, you would be suspended for 3 days roadside or 7 days or 30 days, depending on how many times you've blown over. And then other things happen, but that's another story. If you're talking about 0.08 and above, you're criminally, you have a criminal amount of alcohol in your blood, and for that, you'd be charged for 80 and over. Now, if you have drugs of any kind, not just marijuana, and you are impaired by said drugs, like if the officer determined that something was going on, they arrested you or read you a demand for a blood alcohol, for a drug recognition expert, a DRE or evaluator. They take you to a police station to meet with a DRE. They would evaluate you. They would do a breathalyzer test to ensure that it's not alcohol. If your alcohol was over, they would just proceed by that. But if you didn't blow above the legal limit, they would proceed with a battery of tests, and based on how you performed on those tests, they would lay or not lay charges for impairment by drugs. And they can determine what family of drugs they, based on the outcome of the tests, of which I'm not qualified to discuss because I've never taken the course. Okay, let's see here. Seawood Dashcam says Nathan Fillion is great in that role. Makes me want to be a police officer. Really thinking about it. You know what? We're hiring. Police agencies across North America and the world, for that matter, are hiring. You know why? Because the media has vilified police, and it makes it really hard to find good quality people because everyone says the media says they're bad. They're not bad. It's a tough job though. It's tougher now because of some of the media. Some of them, and of course, it's not just media. It's the whole machine of media, social media, and misinformation. Hang on a second here. Photo says, "Hey, sent you a PM. Please respond." Okay. Shalmareem T.O., what's going on, my brothers? We've got. Oh, hang on a second. Four kids in a Porsche says, so you don't like those electronic signs that municipalities put up to tell you how fast you're going? One could argue they get in the way of tickets. Oh, I love those signs. But the fact is that people use them as a goal. They try and get the highest. People try and max out the sign. They actually often make people go faster because there's no consequence. The sign goes off. It says, blink, 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 you're going too fast. But you know this thing inside the car, it's already there that tells people how fast they're going. It's called a speedometer. If they're relying on the sign on the outside of their vehicle to tell them they're going too fast, we have bigger problems. I have no issue with those signs at all. This was in response, I'm sure, to the fact that radar detectors are not lawful and should not be. Like, there's nothing that should interfere with an ability to catch speeders speeding. Okay. Michelle says, is it normal to get a careless driving ticket for fainting in front of the wheel and then a doctor gives you a medical suspension at a hospital? It isn't. I don't think I don't think that a medical episode is grounds for a charge. It is odd to faint just because you're fainting, but if you had a medical suspension as a result of a medical condition, I would say that that is a medical condition, and that would be a response to the ticket in court or by way of your person. Like if someone had a medical episode due to diabetes, that's not a careless driving thing. It's not careless to drive whilst diabetic, unless there was some kind of proof that you refused to take your medication. At which point, then I could argue that would be careless because you're doing things to directly put lives at risk through your action or inaction. But I don't think it's normal just for like you had a stroke. Oh my God, let's charge him. No, that's not how it works. It shouldn't be that way. It should not. By the way, if you're watching on TikTok, you can join the conversation. You can actually request to be part of the show and come in and chat. It has happened in the past. It'll happen again. If you want to be the person to chat, just hit the button and ask to join. It should still be open. I've never turned off the feature. Let's see here. Just scrolling to see if no, nothing else there. Let's keep going back here. Um, Hunters use mounted crates in the back of the box for hunting dogs. Absolutely, they do. Police have pickup trucks for the same thing. Nick wants to know if your car is plated in Quebec, but you go to Ontario for work. Do you need to register your car in Ontario? Going to Ontario for work is different than residing in Ontario for work. So if you move to Ontario, you maintain your primary residence in Ontario, that's a problem. If you have a primary residence, the place you call home is in Quebec, but you drive 2 out of every 4 weeks, you're in Ontario. But your primary residence is in Quebec. You file the taxes in Quebec. Everything is Quebec. Then I would argue you're not a resident of Ontario. You're just temporarily staying here for work. But when when you take over that 50%, argument could then be made that you are now a resident or you're to be treated as a resident in Ontario. If your business is entirely in Ontario, but you sleep in Quebec every night, you're in Quebec. You're a Quebec resident. If you sleep 90% of the time in Toronto, like in Toronto, but you visit Quebec once a month because the insurance is cheaper, we're talking insurance fraud. So it depends on what we're talking about. Okay. Sam wants to know if I know Marco. I do know Marco. You're the second person. If maybe it was you last time too, but I know Marco very well. Mr. Steak, I was talking about you tonight. As a matter of fact, he says this guy's wicked smart. He's doing his best. I think that's the Boston thing. I'm probably going to be making a lot of hate from the Bostonians that watch the show. But Mr. Steak, I honest to God was sitting at dinner with my OPP brother, who used to be Toronto, who I ran into or we met using your restaurant as the meeting place in London. And we talked about having to come back and visit you again. That was the discussion, not a void of a lie. Tonight, that's what we talked about. Now it's kind of shifting into New York. Noggin says, my headlights work, but one daytime runner doesn't. And he doesn't have money to fix it, so is it mandatory to repair? The question is, will I pull you over as a police officer to charge you for one headlight out? Yes. One daytime runner light? Not necessarily. The problem is you only have one high beam, likely. Your high beam is probably not working. And having a high beam out, if I didn't know it, I probably wouldn't care. But if you were using your high beams at night, you are not in a safe position, right? So this is something I will lean towards Melody, the mechanic, who's in there as a moderator on the TikTok and talking about stuff and things. The deal is that I don't think a police officer would necessarily come after you for a daytime runner. But I know that it means that you're low, because a daytime runner in most vehicles is your high beam light running at low power. So I know that your high beam's not working, and I don't know if I would do anything other than pull you over to warn you, because if your normal headlight system works, I'm a happy guy. Let's see here. So I didn't really answer your question. Could you get a ticket? I imagine we could say that your system's not safe. But I would never lay that charge. I don't think anybody else I know would either. Vic says, Toronto. I was Toronto police when I was a cop. I am no longer. Emergency Ontario says, yo, what's up, Sean? What's going on? I'm doing good. Thank you. And Noggin says, thank you. And Melody says safety inspect and MTO need all light bulbs functioning. So if an officer were to do a safety inspection, it would fail. If a mechanic would do a safety inspection, it would fail. This is for the high beam thing. So yeah, if an officer was nitpicking, then suppose that they would find it. But the reality is, I would never do that. And I'm a hard ass. I wouldn't do that. But those other guys can't speak to what they're doing. Kat says, "Hi, Sean. What about people driving at night with no headlights on, no lights on, zero, black, dark, out? That's illegal, obviously. Failing to activate your headlight system is a problem." Melody says, "Daytime running lights can use high, low, or separate bulbs." Yes, good to know. That's why I was kind of saying most, or my experience has been high beam bulbs in low mode. But there you go. Just specifying that it doesn't always look like that. What do we got here? I've been quoted over $700 to fix one daytime runner. Ugh, that's not fun. What do we got here? Travis Wood wants to know if you can have your car raised up to 5 feet off the ground because my next door neighbor has their vehicle raised that way. I'm going to say that that's probably not legal. There's a maximum distance the bumper and headlights can be off the ground, and I don't think that would be a street legal vehicle, even though people do it and get away with it. I don't think that would pass safety. Melody, can you pass a safety on a pickup truck or other vehicle that has been raised 5 feet off the ground? Wants to know. I see people trying to bypass the law by installing these low bumpers. It looks stupid. That's a stupid look. Skinny Car 3 says, "Have a good stream." Thank you very much. Appreciate the was that a Vulcan I love it. Aragon says, "It's not that I know everything about TV. I have watched Blue Bloods and now Boston Blue, and yes, The Rookie is two great shows." We agree. We can be friends. Okay. What do we got here? An hour and 3 minutes. We've been going for an hour and 3 minutes. No kidding. Okay. Mark, thanks for the follow. Okay. Aaron Merton wants to know why we can't have tinted windshield, but snap-on trucks. What? Why can't we have tinted windshield, but snap-on trucks can that I see? They can't. Nobody here can have any windshield tint. In fact, the majority of North America cannot have windshield tint, although there are some outliers that permit it. It's unsafe. Melody is referring to the headlight height restrictions I mentioned about having a vehicle 5 feet off the ground. But I wonder about the bumpers because I thought there was also a bumper thing. But we'll go with the headlight thing. Here's the thing that pedestrian people who talk about pedestrian safety outside of me, like the pedestrian. What the heck is it? There's a word I'm looking for. The people who yelled at me when I told them they were responsible for safety as well. Yeah, those people. Advocates for pedestrians. Anyway, they they talk about the fact that those super high vehicles mow pedestrians down. It's bad. And they don't get, whereas a normal vehicle will hit them at the legs, toss them over the hood, and probably not end their life. When you mulch them up in the suspension and stuff, it gets pretty messy. It's gross. What do we got here? Cat says, "No headlights at night happens all the time. I come across it every night. What can be done about it?" So it's just pull them over and charge them. Failing to, no headlights is no headlights. It's a charge $110. I can't remember the wording exactly, but there's an absolute charge for it. Improper headlights, probably. It's improper taillights, lack of lights, full light head. I don't know. I guess I'm going to look it up because now I'll never forget the guy that I got for having one headlight out. Drive without proper headlights, motor vehicle, $110. Drive without proper headlights, commercial motor vehicle, $240. What about drive with more than 4 headlights? I'm looking for taillights. Is there anything about taillights? Less than 2 reflectors? Not. Anyway, improper headlights. And of course, if you have no taillights on, it's because your headlight system isn't working properly. You're probably driving with your daytime runners. Melody says, "With a truck that high, pedestrians could just duck under." Maybe if it had independent suspension, but majority of the slap jobs I see seem to be these not independent suspensions. I think it would just take them out of the knees underneath and maybe about mulch them up. Why is it legal to tap built-in car screens, but tapping? Oh, this is from Tote. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm just going to skip. We'll call you Sammy because it says Tot Sammy. About a check. I'm going to mess up your name. I just gave you up. Okay. Why is it legal to tap a built-in car screen, but tapping a phone attached to the dash is illegal? Because one is specifically detailed in the Highway Traffic Act is completely not permitted except for calling, answering a phone and hanging up the call, and to call emergency services when you are in an emergency. Whereas the actual car infotainment system is part of the car and is not covered under specific legislation prohibiting its use. However, using that dash board interface, if it distracts from your ability to operate the motor vehicle safely and it leads to a collision, careless driving is an option for the officer. If I saw someone weaving all over the place and I pulled up beside you and I saw you like trying to figure out how to turn your heated seats on, I'd charge you with careless. Let's see here. Why is I don't know what? Oh, yeah. I'm not seeing what Aaron Merton's follow up question is. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. I see Melody's trying to discuss, so maybe they've got an answer. They're talking about plates being pulled and not a firefighter. Hey, how's it going? Thanks for that. And Asquith Alan said sunglasses, and I missed that earlier. Thank you for that. And also sent a hat and mustache. I missed that entirely. My bad. Glam sent a heart, and I appreciate you for that as well. Any monies raised by this channel go to the not-for-profit organization called the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. Alvarez says, as proof of insurance valuable to police? Wouldn't you need to check if it's actually valid anyways? Okay, two separate charges. Proof of insurance is really not proof. It's a representation of a valid thing. It's saying that you have a required piece of information that allows us to check your registration or your policy number, your policy provider, and your expiry. If a police officer gets that information, they've been given the proof to satisfy the certificate saying that you have it. But if it's me or many of my colleagues, we then call during business hours after the fact to check to see if that is actually a valid policy. Now, we try if we can do it at the side of the road. I always try. Can't always get the information. Calling the insurance company saying, hi, I'm calling roadside and I'm trying to determine if this particular vehicle has an active policy, yes or no. That's all we're looking for. It's and they say, yes, it's valid. Is it valid for storage or is it valid for the road? Valid for the road? Hunky dory. Thank you very much. If it's a no, we're either going to then proceed to charge for, not for drive no insurance. And if it's something we do the next day, then we go and serve at your home or wherever we can find you to lay that charge. We actually have 3 years to lay the charge for drive no insurance or permit drive no insurance. Glam 2025 says, I'm a claims adjuster and all get mad at me for raising their premiums if at fault. It's no fun. Jack says, I swear you pulled me over before. I've pulled over a lot of people. It's entirely possible. Vinny says, hey, Sean, why are bike lanes pillars not replaced? You can see them at night. I couldn't tell you why. You're talking about the little rubber ducky dividers. Every single bike lane has a different design. They don't all. It's not a requirement to have them. That's just the design of that location. Yeah. And yes, Glam 2025 people absolutely fake insurance slips, which is a problem. Is it illegal to drink beverages like water or coffee while driving? Not in Ontario, but other jurisdictions do consider that distracted driving. Could be careless driving regardless of where you are if you're all over the road trying to get the last drop out of your water bottle. Vinny wants to know, shouldn't the city replace bike lane pillars after they're destroyed? They should, but they're not required to. Like this, it's a design. It's what they chose to do, and they can choose not to do it. Michelle says, just what I thought. Falling asleep behind the wheel due to being tired is cause for careless. I would think so, but how do you prove it? I was just tired. Like I was unconscious. I don't know what happened. If they go to ambulance, if they go by hospital to ambulance, if they go by hospital, ambulance to the hospital. It all depends on whether or not they think. Like so give you an example, Michelle. I was driving home from a detail. I came to a light. It was Allen Road in Shepherd, northbound. Allen Road stopped at Shepherd. Light turns green. Car in front of me. It no move. I got out of my car. Guy's passed out. So I called in. I got the local division to show up. Put the police car in front. Woke the guy up. He was just really tired. And at that time, I was actually an auxiliary officer. I had no arrest authority myself. The officers did a breathalyzer. He had no alcohol. He was working as an Uber, as one of his 5 jobs, trying to feed his family. And they said, "Have a good night. Get some sleep." He didn't hurt anybody, and he got off with a very good reminder as to why he should get some sleep. Okay, let's scroll through. I got to wrap it up. I may have to go to a meeting now, which I'm not excited about, only because I'd like to go to sleep because I don't want to fall asleep. Okay, why can't people have pre-access to this info? Why can't people have pre-access to this info though? Which info? The info I'm giving is stuff you could look up. In fact, we talked about we joked. I started doing this like 5-6 years ago as a police officer, and someone said, you should call the show stuff you could Google yourself. And the truth is, yeah, you can look up a lot of the stuff yourself, but you can also get 5 answers for the same question. And even if I don't know the answer, I can Google it too, and I can look at the legalese and explain it to you. I don't know everything. I never claim to know everything. I know what I know, and I don't know what I don't know. And what I don't know, I'm happy to research for you. But that's the thing. What is this? Devin wants to know if I see a lot of officers joining the private sector sorry, uh, private sector either as a side gig or after. Absolutely. A lot of people go into the private sector because after retirement, we have lots of years of giving lots to do. And Glam, thank you very much. Oh, really? That sounds excellent. I am preparing for the festivities, if we can call it that. Haksameach. Okay. Um, let's see here. What is this? Roaming billboards. Oh, Grouchy Medic wants to know, are roaming billboards like a Q van with digital signs on either side legal? It's a very interesting question because, like the fine folks at, what's that news agency, they have a truck like that. And the argument is whether or not that is projecting at a sufficient amount of light to be a violation as a headlight. Because to project light is against the law, but to illuminate, is it? I had this argument because I've been asked if that would be an appropriate charge to lay, and I said if you laid a charge against someone you didn't like because of it, I think that would be making a pretty terrible bit of news coverage because it's never been done before that I'm aware of. I don't think that is a headlight. It is a cluster of a lot of little bulbs. But then if that's illegal, why are billboards allowed to be illuminated? Moving ones or otherwise. Is it a hazard? Possibly, maybe, but I don't know. Okay. What do we got here? Funky says, yo, what's going on? Tony says, hey, buddy, long time no see. How's it going, Tony? How are things? It has been a while. Riz Vision, howdy. If you can be charged if you're intoxicated. I don't know what Grouchy Medic's saying on that one. I don't know the context of it. Why is a jackrabbit start stunt driving? That seems like just kind of extreme, doesn't it? No. Riz Vision, you know the answer to this. Riz Vision happens to be a comedian and an accountant who has yet to register for Account Institute, even though I got him a test account. By the way, if you know any accountants, they're offering a free course right now. If you can be charged if you are intoxicated and in a vehicle, but it's off, but you have the keys, could you be charged for taking a nap in your car? Charged for taking a nap in a car while you're intoxicated? That care and control argument, so potentially. The problem is that if you're intoxicated and you have care and control of the vehicle and you don't intend to use it now, but in a half an hour, if you've slept that much off, you decide you are, it's a weird argument. I've never charged someone for care and control myself, just because I haven't found the mixture of things. They've always been starting the car, in the car, driving the car, crashing the car. I've just been lucky like that. Da, 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 da. Kat wants to know, as a police officer, do you have to meet a quota by the end of the month to make charges? So here's, and we're going to end with this one because I got to go. But Kat, thank you for that. I actually posted a video on this a few days ago, and it was a clip from the March 11th live stream because this question comes up a lot. Not here, not anywhere in Ontario that I'm aware of, but I don't have a problem with it. It's just not a quota. A quota, and let's define what a quota is from my perception or my perspective, or I think what all police perspective would consider a quota. If you're told that if you don't write 20 tickets a week, you are going to be on parking duty, you're going to be shoveling shit at the horse stable, that's a quota. A quota is you're in trouble if you don't do this, which is a certain number of tickets, whether it's 20, 40, 80, 100. If, however, you're told, go out there and make a difference. If you are not going to radio calls, we'd like you to be actively performing traffic enforcement duties, making the streets safer. How many should you do? As many as you can. If you are producing quality, it doesn't matter how many you do. There's no quota. If I went out there, and this is exactly what I used to do, and I pulled over everything I saw, I wouldn't get within five blocks of my police station. I'd be end of shift going back. I would have just never left. So sometimes you're like putting blinders on because you're trying to go to a specific hot area that is of high value because it's high risk. There's people doing stuff there that's more dangerous than other places. I ignore the license plate covers. I'm going to ignore the tinted windows because I'm going to go look for that stop sign where two people have gotten seriously injured. It's hard. For me, I would pull over everything I saw. If it was beyond that bar, right? If I saw it, I dealt with it. Sometimes quickly, sometimes. But the problem with this sometimes is sometimes you pull over somebody for a tinted license plate cover and they're wanted. And now you've arrested somebody for a warrant that's outstanding, and that's your day. Or you pull someone over for the tinted license plate cover and they're impaired. You smell drugs, you smell alcohol, you have them blow on a roadside screening device. You're done. Are you going to be penalized for only writing one ticket or getting one arrest that entire shift? No. It's what comes. It's what is. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you are at Tim Hortons every day and the GPS says you're at Tim Hortons every day, or the GPS tracks you as going to Tim Hortons and sitting in the parking lot, not moving for a 10-hour shift, should they impose a quota on you? I have a tiny problem with that. They expect you to work, but what if you were to be available on the road for calls, but because you wrote so many tickets or made so many arrests last week, you are going to Tim Hortons, picking up a coffee, pulling into the closest parking lot, and now you are catching up on notes and emails because that's a mobile office. You're working. Now you have to tell the dispatcher what you're doing, and you tell them, I am pulling over, mark me as stopped working on notes, and if I am required, I'm your guy. You let me know what you need me for. Everyone's doing a job. But I have no issue with quotas, but they shouldn't be quotas that motivate people to do stupid stuff. An example would be someone who stops people for doing 3 kilometers over the limit because they want to get a bunch of tickets out of the way so they can move on to coffee. That would be wrong. But I have never experienced that. You hear about people doing that, but I've never actually experienced that. If I write you a ticket, it's because you deserve the ticket, because it's a valuable ticket, because you are violating. And here's a funny thing. I only saw opportunity to make a difference. And the people I pulled over often directed my behavior in that if I pulled you over for a license plate cover, it may have been a warning to say, I think you should take that off because the next cop might give you a ticket. But if you gave me attitude while I was giving you the nice warning, you might have found your vehicle being inspected, at which point you may have gotten 5 tickets. Choose your own adventure. People need to learn how to be courteous and kind. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say goodnight. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. I'll be back on Tuesday to do this all over again. I think it's going to be Tuesday. Yeah, I plan to be here Tuesday. Tuesday at 10 a.m. to chat about stuff and things. But then I saw Ishan's post that says, if traffic's going 130, 140, should I go to the speed? But what if I'm alone? No, sorry, let me rephrase. They said if traffic's going 130 to 140 kilometers an hour, he's stating that he should go that speed, but what if I'm alone? Is it illegal to drive if my windshield has an 8-inch crack? Okay, let's deal with these one at a time. And then I'm really going as soon as I read Tomas's post. Okay, first of all, it's illegal to go 130, 140. It doesn't matter if everybody and their cousin and their sister and their brother and their dog are doing 140. It's illegal to do 140. You should not be doing 140. You should stay to the right and do the legal speed limit because that is legal. You should not be doing 130, 140. That is why everyone's doing 140 because everyone says, oh, if he's doing it, I should be doing it. And they use that as an excuse. It's bullcrap. Don't speed. Nobody should speed. If I were pulling people over, I'd pull people over even if they're all doing 140. I'd pick someone, the lucky contestant, and that would hopefully slow everybody else down. And then I'd pull over the next contestant doing 130, 140. I'd pull them over at 120. You should not be speeding. If you're alone, you absolutely should not be speeding, but you should never be speeding. You should never speed. I stay to the right. I do the speed limit. Me, that's what I do. Makes it easy. Then I don't have to be a hypocrite and tell you that I do one speed and you should do another. No, I do the speed limit. All right. The legal, is it illegal to drive with a windshield that has an 8-inch crack? Yeah. It's unsafe. What is this? Melody says OPP station across the road from her work does speed trap from their driveway. If you are silly enough to speed in front of a police station, you deserve everything you get. Thomas wants to know what my favorite call to get when I was working. Sadly, as a traffic guy, the calls you're mostly getting are people who are unfortunately in a collision, and it's not good. Are machine gun decals on vehicles illegal? No, they're silly, but I don't think they're illegal. There's nothing illegal with putting on a firearm picture because it doesn't say that they have a firearm in the car. That would just be stupid. All right, I got to go. It is that time that if I don't actually hit the button and play the music, I'm going to forget and just talk for another hour. And I have stuff to do. It's been a pleasure. I always love talking to you. I'll be back Tuesday at 10 a.m. to do this again. If the weekend is coming, and if you from now till then have any questions, by all means, drop me a line. You can email me. You can DM me. I am happy to chat. However, if you're going to be out and about and having a good time, please drive safe, drive sober, park legally, do the right thing, be courteous to your fellow driver, pedestrian, and cyclist. It's getting warm out there. I meant to talk all about motorcycles because I've been seeing them on the road, but I forgot all about that. Got off on the tangents while I was talking to you about other stuff and things.